At 4ZZZ, we acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we broadcast. We pay our respects to the elders past, present and emerging of the Turrbal and Jagera people. We acknowledge that their sovereignty over this land was never ceded.
And we stand in solidarity with them.
You're listening to Transmission on 4ZZZ, amplifying the trans and gender non-conforming voices of Brisbane and beyond.
Good morning, Magandjin. You're listening to Transmission on 4ZZZ. My name is Ez. I use he, him pronouns.
Hi, I'm Hazel. I use she, her pronouns.
And I'd like to begin the episode by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we broadcast from at 4ZZZ, which is the Turrbal, Jagera and Jagera people. Sovereignty was never ceded, always was, always will be Aboriginal land. And today on Transmission, bloody hell, we got so much news to get through.
Far too much. It's been busy.
We have been busy. No events because we got some guests coming in to talk about some events coming up. But we'll jump straight. Let's not jump straight on Transmission.
None of that.
Let's go gaily forward into the news this morning. So first up, a little sad and local news. Destiny Rogers passed away. So Destiny Rogers is an Australian LGBTQA+ media veteran, performer, former managing editor of Q News, and a beloved queer feature writer and historian. She's passed away at the age of 64. Destiny passed after a long battle with metastatic lung cancer at her home in Hervey Bay. At Destiny's own request, there will not be a funeral or memorial service, but there will be a private cremation next week. Brisbane Pride have said, the organisation have stated, was saddened to hear of the passing of Destiny Rogers. Her contributions to Brisbane Pride and the LGBTQA+ community in Brisbane, Queensland and beyond leave behind a remarkable legacy for all, and she will be dearly missed. So, yeah, a little bit of sad news. We've also got a survey. We've got scurvy. No, we don't have scurvy. We've got a survey for Queer Youth Now. -18 have released a survey called Queer Youth Now, the national survey of LGBTQA+ youth voice in Australia. This national survey aims to amplify the voices and the experiences of LGBTQA+ young people aged 13 to 25. This is to increase the capacity of and inform the work of projects across Australia so that we can support them. The survey gives LGBTQA+ young people a platform to share their experiences by understanding these perspectives. We can all advocate for better resources, support services and programs that meet the needs of LGBTQA+ young people across the country. If you'd like to participate in the survey, there will be a link on the Transmission socials at trans.radio, trans with a Z. And you can also head to the -18 website, -18.org.au. Do you want to read the next article?
I would love to. So, the British Medical Association calls the Cass Review unsubstantiated.
Wow, who would have thought?
I know, right? So, the largest doctors' union in the United Kingdom, the British Medical Association, BMA, voted in favour of a resolution to publicly critique the Cass Review used to crack down on gender-affirming care for trans youth in the UK, calling its recommendations unsubstantiated. The organisation also voted to oppose the implementation of the review's recommendations. This move comes after the court ruled that the government can ban the use of puberty blockers on an emergency basis, citing the review in its decision. The British Medical Association, BMA, is an independent union representing 151,000 doctors in the United Kingdom. The group negotiates on behalf of all doctors in the UK and lobbies for best practices in medicine to the UK Parliament. The organisation states that it regularly uses the views of doctors and their patients in Parliament, end quote, and is responsible for briefing other medical workers and members of Parliament. The resolution voted on in July is substantial, and it states that the gender identity services in the United Kingdom are inadequate, end quote. A claim well supported by extreme wait times of 5 years or more, which have been linked to suicides among some trans patients. It asserts that the Cass Review engaged in unexplained study deviations and ambiguous eligibility criteria, whilst excluding evidence supporting transgender care. The resolution references a recent review published by the Integrity Project, currently hosted at Yale University, which condemns the Cass Review for its poor methodology and interpretation of research. Lastly, it establishes that the BMA will publicly critique the Cass Review oppose its implementations, and lobby for continuity of care.
Woo!
Very good.
Yes, good to know that not all of the UK is...
There's some debate.
Yeah. It's not all Turf Island. There are some people on there.
151,000 of them.
Yes, congratulations to some pushback there from the from a medical standpoint, anyway. In other news, the Supreme Court of Nepal has ruled that a trans woman should be legally recognised as a woman without needing medical verification.
What?
In 2007, the Supreme Court ordered authorities to issue documents with a third gender, quotations, or other option to self-identify. However, the lack of clarity caused much confusion. Trans people in Nepal are required to undergo gender-affirming surgery to change their gender markers to female, male, or other on official documents. This requires travelling outside of the country to perform the surgery, followed by medical assessments and genital examinations in Nepal. Araskashar Kapali, trans law student and activist, has been fighting for legal recognition since 2021, suing the government over 50 times. Now Kapali can legally be recognised as a woman in Nepal without medical verification, according to Human Rights Watch. The Supreme Court made its decision in November, but the text was shared to the public on the 28th of July, which is amazing. So that's some really great news.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah. Anyway, congratulations, Nepal.
Yeah, sincerely fantastic to see.
Yeah. We're going to jump into some music now. There's a local artist called Eyeriss, spelt like Eyeriss. We're going to play a track that I don't believe has been played on 4ZZZ before, called Parsley, Daquiri. I met this young person out in the community, extremely talented, and deserves to be highlighted on our incredible radio station 4ZZZ and Transmission. So we're going to have a listen to this. Stay tuned. When we come back, we'll have some chats with some guests. And you're listening to Transmission on 4ZZZ. It's a little wet and cold outside, but I can feel the humidity creeping back in.
Yep, it's wet and warm inside.
Oh, nice.
Sorry.
It's not
amplifying the voices of the trans and gender non-conforming community of Magandjin, Brisbane and beyond.
Transmission on 4ZZZ brings you the latest in trans community news, music and events.
Every Tuesday from 9am till 10am.
Join our team of hosts for an hour of celebrating the unique perspectives of the trans community.
Transmission, Tuesday mornings from 9am till 10am on 4ZZZ. You're listening to Transmission on 4ZZZ. My name is Ez. I use he, him pronouns.
Hi, my name's Hazel. I use she, her pronouns.
She, her. So today's episode of Transmission, there's a lot of news that we're catching up on. We did have some guests lined up, but they're not here, so I hope they're all right. We'll leave it a little longer to give them some opportunity to show up, but if not, I will announce the news for them. Anyway, Hazel, you've been doing some research.
Yeah.
There's been some big news that's circulating the globe that everyone's going on and on and on about.
I had to look really far, a couple inches in front of my face to find some people talking about this. That's Iman Khelif and the Olympics boxing, women's boxing.
Here we go.
You would have heard about this, so let's talk about it. There was a volatile flashfire of hatred and confusion brought upon about the match between Iman Khelif and Angela Carini during this year's Olympics boxing. I'll do a brief rundown in case you're unaware. So Thursday the 4th of August, Algerian boxer Iman Khelif went up against Italy's Angela Carini. Within the first minute, Carini forfeited, fearing a broken nose, and the match ended with her refusing to shake Iman's hands and comments to the press about her heartache. The online response, however, is what brings Khleif into the discourse of trans participation in sports. Multiple sources reported unfounded accusations regarding the appearance of Khleif, claiming that she was a trans woman. Contributors include J.K. Rowling, claiming a, quote, smirking man was, quote, shattering the life's ambitions of a woman. Trump, Elon Musk, and Logan Paul also are notable contributors to this misinformation at the expense of a woman of colour and trans people alike. The twist, of course, is that Khleif is cisgender. However, she was born female in a country that criminalizes LGBTQ plus people. This unfounded discourse harmed Khleif, and it demonstrated how transphobia will not only just affect cisgender women, but women of colour in particular. Khleif has since spoken, as sources, including the IOC's president, have confirmed and supported Khleif's gender and right to compete. Quote, "This is a matter of dignity and honour for every woman or female. I want to tell the entire world that I am female and I will remain female." She also made comments about bullying in an interview with SNTV. Quote, "It can destroy people, it can kill people's thoughts, spirit and mind, it can divide people. And because of that, I ask them to refrain from bullying." Carini has since publicly apologised for her actions, stating no intention of harming Khleif and regretting not shaking hands. And the president of the IOC, Thomas Bach, also commented on the discourse. Quote, "Let's be very clear here, we are talking about women's boxing. We have two boxers born as women, have been raised as women, who have passports as women and have competed as women for years." Quote, "This is the clear definition of a woman. There was never any doubt about them being a woman, and now we see someone to own the definition of who is a woman." So it's interesting because we've seen probably one of the loudest and strongest pushes against trans inclusion in sport over an event that didn't have a trans woman fighting in.
But also is a really, if this doesn't expose the stupidity of transphobia, I don't know really what will.
Yeah.
Because this is also classic men also telling women what they can and can't handle.
Yep.
Which is that's just straight up misogyny. What are you doing? Step out. This isn't your place to say that.
It's totally founded on the idea that Angela Carini, by being a woman, would be endangered by boxing against someone of the opposite gender.
Yep. And Khleif has been in 9 bouts and has lost 5.
Yep.
And 2 women, 2 other cisgendered women.
Absolutely.
So, sorry, Carini, you got smacked in the head and you hit the ground and you lost. That's it. That's what happened.
Yeah. The other thing that really takes me about it, though, is how, almost divorced from Carini's comments the discourse became.
Yeah.
Carini spoke about how these are the hardest punches she's ever received and things like that. But the discourse about Iman Khelif being trans, or the accusations, seems to have come almost entirely from an extremely reactionary response to just how she looks in the photos.
Yep.
And a lot of it was just simply looking at a photo, saying that's a trans woman, and then yellow page reporting. People just parroting that across the lines, and suddenly it became known as fact to still a lot of people that Iman Khelif is trans, which is just not true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really disappointing. and like, really, this is an attack on women yet again.
Women of colour.
Women of colour. It's crazy how apparently high levels of testosterone, TERFs will call you a man. But if you're like, okay, then I'll take some more and be a man, they're like, no, you're not.
Yeah, exactly. Trump's comments around Iman Khelif was saying, I'll keep men out of women's sports. Gross statement, of course, but also I find it interesting because, he's the same president that was banning trans people from the army. So is he keeping men out of the army too? Like, I don't understand why the goalposts shift so much depending on the circumstances we're talking about.
Yeah, and then, they can't seem to define a man or a woman when you actually start probing them, and you start probing, like, the questions of, like, what is a man and what is a woman? And they'll be like, oh, genitals. Like, well, actually, no, we have a lot of evidence here to say that that's not the case because intersex people exist.
Totally.
Okay, then they're like, oh, hormones. It's like, well, everyone actually has all the hormones.
Yeah.
Just varying levels of them.
And a lot of
changes
people
throughout life.
Yeah, and a lot of people have imbalances of these hormones that contradict what they were born with.
Correct, which is why we have hormone replacement therapy, which exists for all people and not just trans people.
Absolutely.
And there are trans people who take hormone replacement therapy, and then there are trans people who don't. Just like there are cis people who take hormone replacement therapy for menopause, maybe aging. There's a lot of reasons why you might take hormones. Both cis men and cis women take hormones for different reasons. At different stages of their life, there might be different kinds of conditions. Women who have POTS are also another
Men
example.
who have hair loss. It's
hair loss.
Yeah.
Like, there's just, so again, that's not an indication of gender. And then, they're like, oh, but chromosomes. It's like, well, actually, here yet again, we have another issue.
Yeah.
Because that is also not a good indication of gender.
Again, like close to 2 in 100 people, 1.7% of the population being intersex. There's a very high chance that there are many people who just don't know they're intersex.
Oh, many.
Because it just doesn't play into how you live your life. And it's like, it's reducing your idea of what you think a certain gender is to what ends up being some pretty icky definitions, like reducing a woman to reproduction and reducing a man to violence. It's not necessarily a smart way to be trying to segregate your populations.
No, it's not a smart way to be doing that, and it doesn't really work. Also, the other thing is, this argument like, oh, but trans women have an unfair advantage. Michael Phelps has an unfair advantage.
Yes.
There are loads of athletes that have unfair physical advantages, and I assure you that trans women are not the ones with fair, quote unquote, or unfair physical advantages. They just have the same. First of all, they're probably full of the same hormone that their competitors have.
Absolutely.
Which should be realistically the main focus if you're going to really focus on something.
Yeah.
But alternatively, why don't we just give people the opportunity to fight or play or participate in the sports that they're in because of the categories that they want to be in?
Yeah. It's also particular with boxing, the weight classes are so restrictive. Like, you can't be even slightly more or less of your weight bracket and still fight against the same people. Iman Khelif and Angela Carini, they're in the same weight bracket. It's safe for them to fight each other because it is firmly enforced in the rules of boxing that you have to be the right weight and size as your opponent to not be endangering each other. Yep,
and they are the same weight and size. I'm pretty sure Carini and Khelif also had a similar reach, and reach is the distance from shoulder to hand when at full extension. So how you come out and punch.
So yet again, it's like this transphobes' invisible manness that they are implying onto Iman that apparently is dangerous.
What it was essentially, in my opinion, was they saw photos of the defeat of Carini. They interpreted Khelif's masculinity, quote unquote, in the image as being a man. But also then it was all exasperated by Carini's what I would consider poor sportsmanship response in the moment.
Totally.
Which is that, ow, I suck, I hit the ground, it's been so quick, I've worked so hard to get here for a 46-second bout, and I'm embarrassed, I'm humiliated on a global stage, and then that was blown up.
Totally.
And then JK points a finger, and then, has a big mouth.
And all of those reactionaries dive on top. It's like a dog pile.
Yep.
And again, when, like the Guardian's article, much more quietly transphobic, includes paragraphs and paragraphs of quotations from Angela Carini about her heartache, about how this is her second loss at the Olympics, so on and so forth. And then Iman Khelif has 2 quotes, which is, "I'm here to win gold and I will fight them all." Which, it's that way that we have these reactionaries painting a violent, volatile image of what's going on. And then these mainstream sources that people trust very subtly agreeing with those extreme views.
Yep.
And it just pushes the needle that direction a little bit more in the eyes of people who don't really have a deep understanding of what's going on as well.
Yeah. Which is a good thing, dear listener, that you listen to Transmission, because we're going to keep you updated as trans people by the community, for the community, updating you on what we see and what we know as lived experience and people who live this life every single day. So I appreciate you listening to us discuss these things.
We
So,
love you.
Yeah, we do. And The Guardian needs to get better at making less subtle transphobic articles like that, because that was kind of disappointing. We're going to go to a track, and I believe our guests are here, and we're going to have a chat about some TERFy protests.
Woo!
So, yeah, fun times. You're listening to Transmission on 4ZZZ.
Open Doors Youth Service is a South East Queensland support service for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender and or intersex youth aged 12 to 24 and their families. Open Doors believes that all young people have the right to explore, experience and express their gender and sexuality in safe and supportive environments, and offers a range of programs and counselling services, as well as support services for parents of LGBTI youth and community education and training. For more information, visit their website at www.opendoors.net.au. Sponsors of 4ZZZ.
You're listening to Transmission on 4ZZZ. My name is Ez. I use he, him pronouns.
My name's Hazel. I use she, her pronouns. And there's someone here.
Oh my gosh.
Hello there. My name's Piper. I'm a they, she.
Hey, how you doing?
Great. It's lovely to be here. Lovely to meet you, Ez and Hazel.
Oh, thanks.
You made it. Yes. I was like, oh, they're not here. Well, we'll just do some other things.
I'm not usually awake before like 11 a.m. So
I really get
Oh,
that.
gracious listener, you are hearing the voice of Piper before 11. You're welcome. You can thank Transmission. We're going to chat a bit about Magandjin People's Pride. So you've got some events coming up. Things that we should be rallying people for.
Yeah, so Magandjin People's Pride is a group that's kind of been going on for like on and off for years. We've been really active in the last 2 years, putting on free events for the queer community, doing protests and stuff. And in the last couple of months, we have been doing counter protests for this little group of TERFs that like to gather in the city every month. So that's been really fun.
There's quite a small number of them, though, right?
It's about 12. It's the same people every time. Yeah, it's their little book club that they like to take to the streets.
Wow.
Yeah, interesting. Got nothing else to do, I guess.
It seems like it. We keep telling them, like, go find something productive to do with your life.
There's
but
easier hobbies to have.
honestly,
Just transition already. No, sorry, that's a different opinion I have. Maybe I shouldn't say that.
I don't know that any of them is secretly trans, but
I don't know, just there's
We could
so
flip
much
them.
rage. You know, sometimes when you meet people that are just so against something, you're like, this says more about you than it does about me. That you go out of your way to like actively do the stopping or gatekeeping or
Like
harming of
whether or not
others.
they're trans, there is something within them internally
It's
that's
triggered. They're
causing
triggered,
causing a hyper focus on this.
Yeah,
there's
like,
definitely some
yeah.
like at least worldly dysphoria because they have this sense of terror, of dread, and instead of focusing on the systems that are oppressing everyone, they're like, it's these specific people who are making me afraid.
Yeah, so
It's very reactionary.
yeah. Again, go get a better hobby. Like, just like you don't need to be so worked up about this.
Truly.
Trans people just want to live like everyone else, you know? Like, it's
If you listen to them, apparently we want to do a lot of things that are not just a living, but
yeah.
really, truly, we just want to exist and not be vilified by a hate group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, we just want to play our experimental music and ukuleles, just like
Honestly. Well, actually,
yeah.
that's part of it. So the protests, the counter rallies, essentially, kind of have a dual component. So one part is we go and we make a lot of noise. We try and drown them out, shut them down, make sure that their voices aren't heard. And the other part is we have a little picnic and all hang out and have a good time and celebrate our trans joy.
Yippee!
yay!
That's fun.
We're like, trans dysphoria, rage.
Yeah.
We're like, trans euphoria, yay.
It's really important to remember the second part, because
Yeah.
otherwise Yeah, you don't want to be a reactionary movement. You want to be building something positive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and how long have you've been doing these counter protests?
Yeah, I think we've done 3 or 4 now. They're on every month because those guys just are so regular with their schedule. Yeah, it's been great. Like we've had some karaoke, we've done some speeches. If anyone would love to come out and do a speech, that would be great. And last month actually, we got we did a little ambush. We like waited for them to set up and like get all their equipment ready, and then we just rocked up and like just fully took over where they were standing, and we got right up in their faces and drowned them out the whole time. It was wonderful.
So where, when, how? How do we do it?
So the next one, the details we know for sure. See, after last time, they've gotten a little bit more secretive, little bit more clever.
Right, they stopped posting on socials.
Yeah, they're not posting all the details. But what we know for sure, August 25th, it's a Sunday. It'll be at 12 midday. So it'll definitely be that date and time. It'll be in the city. Right now, we believe it's at King George Square, but it's possible that they'll either change that or they're trying to mislead us. But so to know the exact location, the easiest way is probably to check out Magandjin People's Pride on Instagram, because we'll post all the information there. That's MAGANDJIN People's Pride.
And that's you're both on the Facebooks and the Instagrams.
We are on the Facebooks too. Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
right.
You can check us out there.
Yeah,
excellent.
It's so interesting. It's very it's almost like covert. Like the details change as you go. You pay attention. You're tuned in. You're ready to show up and do your bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of espionage there. We're trying to figure out their moves before they make them.
Yeah, cool. So it's also great too, because I think like when you're trying to counter protest, you kind of have to like be constantly dialed in, and then plans can change really dramatically because like, oh wait, they've caught on, they've moved some stuff, and then you've got to like quickly go. So yeah, definitely follow those social media. We'll also reshare everything as well on the Transmission socials as well, at Trans Radio with a Z. So if you're already dialed in with us, you'll catch it there. But you should definitely follow Magandjin's People's Pride as well. So yeah,
appreciate it.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Piper, for coming in today.
My pleasure. It's been awesome.
And yeah, we'll catch you at the counter protest. Yeah. So language and content warning. Fuck TERFs.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, fuck TERFs. And you're listening to Transmission. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much. And bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to Transmission. See you next Tuesday, 9 to 10 a.m. on 4ZZZ.